Good morning, everyone. I think we can safely say that for all of us, when we have the opportunity to begin a new year, take it also as an opportunity for a new beginning, fresh start, to be able to look at our life in a new way and please God with His grace and our resolutions, seek to improve it. That is why on New Year's Day, almost all of us make resolutions, which to varying degrees we are successful in keeping. And yet that crossed my mind in preparation for this day because, my friends, in the eyes of faith, today is New Year's Day. You and I come to begin yet another year of grace in the church. And perhaps we can take a lesson out of our secular handbook and perhaps use this day to make resolutions, to grow in our spiritual life, our relationship with the Lord, and our love for one another. For today is the first day of Advent. That season, you and I know, celebrates the three comings of Christ. First and foremost, in 4 weeks, you and I will gather to adore the Christ child born in Bethlehem. And so these weeks are meant a time for reflection and penance and the cleansing of our minds and hearts to receive Him worthily. But He came to establish a kingdom. We celebrated that last week. And so Advent also prepares our minds and hearts and our wills to receive Him at the day and hour of His choosing, as we heard in the gospel from the Lord Himself. To await His coming, when He will not come in swaddling clothes and poverty, but He will come in majesty and power, and every knee that ever existed will bend to Him. He who is the judge of the living and all the dead. He will come to heal all creation and offer it to His Father as a fragrant gift. And then, of course, in the in-between time, as you and I walk this journey of faith, we celebrate in Advent, as we do every day of the year, the coming of Christ here on the altar, under the form of bread and wine. He comes to accompany us, feed us, support us, strengthen us in our challenges, to overcome our temptations, to enlighten our minds and give strength to our wills to do good. Why? So that you and I might be co-workers in building up the kingdom that was created and born in Him. 3 comings. On this New Year's Day, we begin the journey anew. So what is my suggestion to you, my friends? My suggestion to you, as is to me, is to spend this day and use it wisely to make resolutions as we would on New Year's Day, but spiritual resolutions so that we might welcome Christ into our lives in an ever more perfect and beautiful way. And perhaps the 3 comings, the grammar of Advent, can help us to examine our conscience. So, for example, it is no mistake that Jesus came in Bethlehem in poverty. He didn't come in royal glory because He stood with the poor and the destitute and those who have no one to stand with them. I ask you, my friends, as you look on this new year, what can you and I do more than already we are doing to stand with the poor and the sick and the immigrant and those who are alone, who have no one to stand with them? Because when we do, we will discover the face of Christ in our midst. So too, the coming of Christ in glory. I alluded to the fact that you and I are co-workers in building the kingdom in our midst. And so I ask you, as I ask myself, what part of my life is not building up the kingdom? Where do you and I refuse to forgive, to hold a grudge, refuse to be the dispenser of mercy? Where do you and I in our lives still stubbornly cling to a spirit perhaps that is divisive, that does not seek unity and peace? If you and I can name it, this is the day to make the resolution with Christ's grace to overcome it, one day at a time. And then, of course, my friends, we speak of the coming of Christ here on the altar. You and I are faithful to this great sacrifice. Every Sunday, some of us every day. And yet, my friends, forgive me for putting it this way, but familiarity can easily breed contempt, can breed an attitude where we take this precious gift for granted. And so I ask you, each time you come to the altar to receive his sacred body, blood, soul, and divinity, as I do each day, are our hearts filled with wonder and awe that Christ is there for you and me? Are we filled with gratitude that the Master of all things comes as food so that you and I might have life? Have we forgotten to beg him when we come to church, when we're here in adoration? He comes to us each and every day. What must I do in my life and yours so that we may welcome him with ever more gracious and grateful hearts? Today is New Year's for us in faith. Let us make a resolution, or perhaps more than one, to use this new year to our spiritual growth and for the love of our sisters and brothers. For if we do, when we come to Bethlehem and we look upon the face of the Judge of all things, whenever that day comes, my friends, we will be far more ready, far more prepared, far more grateful, and far more open to the gift the Lord asks us to accept. And that is the gift of eternal life. Happy New Year's.